This episode is a lot more difficult for me to find more positivity centering around it upon rewatching it. Mainly the song that Lelo Diamond sings to Blue Diamond. Believe me, whenever I think about these sequences where the characters are getting much developed when it comes to how they're portrayed, you can only understand that in the final season of this show, you expect it more when it comes to the diamonds. Other than just being Nazis or genocidals that really made people in the fan base having second thoughts towards them. But still, I found this episode one of my most underrated in this season. And it's mainly the fact that when Steven gets more information and the screen time that we get involving Lelo and Blue Diamond, believe me, I'm like Holly Blue, but not that thrilled. It's just that I'm mostly disappointed on how the final season got rushed, but we haven't gone there yet, and believe me, once we get there, it's gonna be difficult for me to find more positivity towards that in comparison to this episode. With Steven trying to save Greg by getting out of Pink Diamond Zoo, they witness Amethyst being around with other Amethysts who really enjoyed themselves so much to the point that they're like Amethyst, which really sums up on the fact that Amethyst's development really showcases into high gear since that she is happy to be around multiple Amethysts that are just like her. Honestly, just like Gem Heist, there was not a lot to say about this episode aside from Lelo and Blue Diamond that I'm gonna get to soon. I can say that Holly Blue in these episodes, she is literally trying way too hard to carry the episode with her being a semi-antagonist in these episodes. When it comes to the other Amethysts being just like the real Amethyst. Believe me, it really feels like that Holly Blue is trying to take full control of the situation, and considering of how that the other Amethysts are willing to help out Steven and the others to leave Pink Diamond Zoo, sums up a lot that there's a lot going on the gems being mostly happy in comparison to the other gems and diamonds who are the total opposite. Then again, we don't get to see her until future, so to tell you the truth, the stress and profession, mainly her taking the situation as professional as possible, was literally all for nothing. Then again, in comparison to the other characters, Holly Blue isn't really that interesting, but then again, it really shows that every single character in this show, especially the gems, aren't really that important, considering that the other rubies that we're gonna be getting in the future episode of season 4 just end up becoming mostly filler. Let's go talk about Lelo and Blue Diamond, who Lelo Diamond saying, "What's the loose of feeling blue?" along with a Blue and Lelo pause. Well, pause, mainly. And judging of how that we get to see bubbles of multiple gems who end up becoming roses in the future episode, I'm gonna be real with you, judging of how that they've went through so much in order to think about Pink Diamond and how she accomplished a lot more that made the diamonds really happy for her contributions. To tell you the truth, judging of how that they don't even know most about Pink Diamond's deeds, and judging of how that she is disguised as Rose, believe me, this has hit a lot more differently upon rewatching this and the song itself. I really enjoy the song, especially when it comes to the development that it gave to Lelo and Blue Diamond. Even though that they're really intimidating, at the very least they are mostly sympathetic when it comes to the situation that they're in, when it comes to the destruction of Pink Diamond, who's completely gone out of their lives, and they can't be able to move forward with their lives. And believe me, this setup really gave you the impression of something really huge that comes in the future of Season 5 and a possible Season 6. Granted, I haven't read any information on the possibility of a Season 6, but believe me, judging of how that these scenes really contribute a lot when it comes to the development of Lelo and Blue Diamond, You really wanted more from these characters. For the most that I can summarize when it comes to my experiences of looking at critiques after watching the entire show is mainly this. The diamonds are really irredeemable to the point that you can sum up on the fact that Steven forgiving them or giving them time to redeem themselves is really far-fetched to the point that it's just difficult to get into. To the point that shows like Infinity Train did this method much more better by making the antagonists much more terrible and not worth redeemable in comparison to the diamonds. But the thing is, I like Steven Universe and Infinity Train, especially the final episode of Season 3. So for me personally, just because one show did something right, and while this didn't, that doesn't automatically mean I see this as a huge problem. For me personally, it really feels like that there was a lot more potential when it comes to the diamonds and how they would contribute when it comes to the motives in the 5th season. If the production team had more time and more direction to work with rather than rushing everything after the wedding episode. Even though that this episode is what it is, and I still enjoy it for what it is, keep in mind, this information centered around the diamonds and they're getting more development when it comes to the screen time and the song that Little Diamond sang, along with the first episodes of Season 5. Believe me, I really wanted to take this show some sort of credibility and try to understand that it's trying to be its own thing, even if people may not be on board with it. And at times, I would understand that people can't be on board with it 100%, and there's always going to be people being left out. For what I see it really feels like that this show isn't supposed to be like every other show when it comes to taking the same elements as other shows that were done better and try to translate them into a formula centering around the characters from the show and the world building. Believe me, it is difficult to find which is good and which is bad, even though that some of the bad is mainly from the bad episodes that are mostly from the Beach City citizens, mainly Naruto. But every time I think about what this show is trying to accomplish, it really feels like that it really feels like they're really trying to come up with different ideals in order to make Steven Universe a show mainly being its own thing. Trust me, just because that this show's forgiveness and friendship goes a little too far, it doesn't automatically mean that it's the second My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, even though at times it could, but mainly the fact that it's not being like Friendship is Magic, considering that this show is slightly for a slightly older children audience. Yes, I worded that out poorly, but to tell you the truth, this doesn't feel dumbed down in comparison to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, even though it's not really the case when it comes to some aspects of Friendship is Magic. I'm just saying that whenever I look at these episodes, after reviewing all the episodes from Friendship is Magic, it really shows that the word dumbed down for a longer audience is really non-existent in this show. Especially the charm moments in these episodes along Friendship is Magic are mostly done differently, judging of how that Rebecca Sugar and the crew members really wanted dark elements in this, but they need to have some wholesome moments here and there. Mainly the fact that Paul just roasted Holly Blue, which isn't really much of a charming moment, but at the same time, you can tell for the fact that the Crystal Gems won and came out as satisfaction in comparison to Holly Blue, who is the total opposite of satisfaction. Anyway, those were the zoo episodes, even though I've already talked about the zoo episodes nearly 2 years ago, but in all honesty, I still talked about all the episodes, and we're heading back to Earth where we're going to be witnessing an episode that I'm willing to talk about for such a long time, but it will happen the day after tomorrow, since that I'm gonna be coming back to a character that I haven't talked about much since my Carnivorous videos, and judging of how that I've scrapped this episode, considering it's not really a Carnivorous episode. My reviewing technique is really confusing if you do not watch my earlier Steven Universe videos that I made years ago. Trust me when I say this, if you're new to this and you're confused on me missing out episodes, unless if you watched this review for the first time or my other reviews, mainly from Season 3 and this, then I don't usually blame you, but believe me, if I really reviewed all the episodes and this is the first time I'm doing the marathon off of a show that I'm dedicating to, then this wouldn't be Summerpalooza 5, wouldn't. I would probably just make it a huge marathon that would be never ending, to be perfectly honest. I'm giving this episode a 7.75 out of 10.